What should you pay attention to going into 2021 if you plan on driving for Uber Eats? Can you still make good money? Are there better apps out there? What are the pros and cons? What's changed with the Uber Eats platform? We're going to talk about that in this video. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike. This is Matt, and this channel is dedicated to your success in this gig economy, the side hustle. So if you are new here, consider subscribing. And for the best accessories for any niche in this gig economy, consider checking out my Amazon storefront, that linked down below. So we've both driven for Uber Eats, you here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and myself recently in San Diego. Now, obviously, I'm not in San Diego anymore. So we're coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we're hitting the road more and more frequently with Uber Eats, but you're the expert. So we're gonna just really touch on both of our experiences driving on Uber Eats and talk about 2020. There's been some big changes to the platform this year and really what you need to know going into 2021. So knowing that Uber Eats is really your number one app, that's really your main driver here. So I wanna know, and you watching here, maybe some of your pet peeves, some negatives driving on the platform. Then we'll talk about some trends, what things changed in 2020, hopefully some improvements into 2021. But again, first, tell us about some negatives, things you don't like about Uber Eats.
Right, so whether you are a new driver or you're new to this channel or you're a veteran driver, it really comes down to strategy, and anything that gets in the way of your strategy will be a little frustrating. What am I talking about? I'm talking about, in my experience, when I'm driving Uber Eats specifically, I've seen more and more often when you're about to finish a ride request, especially food delivery, you're constantly getting new requests for additional food delivery orders before you complete that first delivery. And why is this bad? They do not show you the exact location of the customer, and they give you an estimate on the mileage. So you're really guessing as far as, is this worth my time? How much money am I gonna make? Is this taking me far outside of my area?
Well, I know that when we're driving, you'll get another request. And again, if it's a stacked order, that's 2 assignments for 1 driver, or it's just a new order as you're finishing that order like you mentioned here, if you can't see the miles right, you can't make a smart decision whether that order is worth it or not.
Right, so that's the main point is now new request as you're finishing an order. That's a strategy that Uber Eats will do to make sure that the drivers are lined up, and it's basically a logistics way that Uber Eats is diverting drivers to new food deliveries. It's meant to make sense. But as a driver, you're really, again, like Mike said, you're guessing as far as, well, how far away from that focus area is this going to take me? And the money might look great, but the distance may kind of get you at the end.
Well, here's something I want to really touch on about that, because as you may not know, Uber has acquired Postmates here at the end of 2020 going into 2021. And that's that is my biggest concern driving on Postmates, is not seeing the miles, not seeing the pay, not seeing a expected route, because it's just a straight line. And I mean, I can't make any really smart predictions off of that information. So with Postmates coming on board under Uber in 2021, do you think things will improve? Do you think maybe we'll see that on Postmates? Maybe you start getting more orders that are included on Postmates, because both apps are going to continue to operate independently. Or the orders that you're getting on Uber, the stacked orders where you cannot see that information that you talked about. It just says, hey, here's a stacked order, or here's an additional order, we should say. Do you think that'll improve as far as giving you more information so you can actually make the smart decisions that you just said you can't make that right now?
Right, so here's the thing. So what I believe will happen is with this merger, Postmates and Uber Eats, we will see more demand as drivers. Yes. Good thing, right? Now, remember, when you're driving Uber Eats, you can turn off new requests. So everything that I'm mentioning here, you're getting new requests as you're finishing an order. You can turn that feature off. And there's a button that says stop new request, which is great. But will we see more of those additional orders because of the Postmates merger? Are we going to see more orders where we're really guessing on the mileage and
the information? Are we going to see the information on it? Do you think we'll see the information on the orders?
I don't think we will. I think if it's a new request, like I said, when you're finishing an order and you're getting a new request, before you finished, I don't think we're going to see that information. I think it's going to get worse. I think they're going to integrate all of those Postmates orders as potential new requests for us.
Right.
But if you don't like it, again, you can just stop that ride request, deliver your order, and then start new once you finish that order completely.
So with Uber Eats going into 2021, I know a big driver, especially on Uber Eats, are tips. Because in my opinion, Uber Eats customers are really prone to tipping after the fact, after they actually get the service, the delivery, versus really my number one app in San Diego, which was DoorDash, which is really the inverse. Customers, for whatever reason, this is how DoorDash sets up their app, is customers are tipping, again, usually ahead of time. So if we're thinking that drivers will be busier potentially with more Postmates orders here in 2021, what about tips? I mean, we're in a tough time right now, honestly, with the landscape, everything going on. I think it's going to take some time, certainly into 2021. Are we going to see any consumer changes with behavior there as far as tips?
So the thing to remember with tips is they're always extra. I mean, it's always bonus. Nothing is going to change as far as our service as drivers. It's always and always will be about doing your job and doing it well, providing great customer service. If you're having a handoff, obviously you want to be courteous and things like that. But if there are certain instructions on the delivery, please leave at porch, leave on chair, ring the bell, all those things. Nothing's going to change. I think it's going to be a positive for us. There's going to be more chances for us potentially to get those tips because, again, this is my opinion, from the merger, Postmates, Uber Eats, there might be more requests. It really depends on your particular market, but it just goes to stand. If you have more rides in a given day, well, that's more chances to make tips.
Yeah, I think you're right. If drivers are going to see more orders because of the acquisition, I don't think that necessarily means that we'll see any consumer behavior changes on the tipping end. I think tipping is going to remain the same. If those customers used Postmates and they didn't use Uber Eats, I don't think they're going to tip any different, just because magically they're on the Uber Eats platform. And remember, on the consumer end, these apps, at least, the most recent press release we've heard, they're going to operate independently on the consumer end. Now they will operate again, usually a more meshed system on the driver end. We're still looking for some more details with Uber there, but I don't think it's going to really affect tipping behavior from consumers. So a big development here in 2020, or whenever you're watching this in 2021, has been really the stock race with both of these companies. DoorDash just recently going live on the stock market, IPOing. I mean, they IPO'd at $180 for the public stock. Uber has IPO'd for some time now. I believe they're around $50 or so at the time of filming this video. Now, this is not financial advice. This is not investing in my advice, what have you. But let's talk about, I guess, more macro level, the company. Who do you think is going to win? Again, maybe this could tie into the financials or stock performance. Again, not stock advice, but just the trajectory of these companies going into 2021. Because we talked about the future of DoorDash. We're talking about the future of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is losing to DoorDash. Do you see that changing as with the acquisition? Or do you think even with this acquisition, they're going to remain number two?
So here's how it matters to everyone watching right now. In my opinion, the future 2021, especially with everything going on, is the side hustle, is this gig economy. I know we don't talk a lot about on this channel about Airbnb, but I mean, they're available on the stock market as well. But when it comes to DoorDash and Uber Eats, it's about choices, in my opinion. If you don't find the restaurant you really want on Uber Eats, what do? You go right to DoorDash.
Or if there's a better price. I know on the consumer end, there's lower service fees or delivery fees.
Exactly right. So it really comes down to choices, the quantity of restaurants. So I know that DoorDash, especially around Pittsburgh, has been a big push to get as many restaurants on their platform. So 2021, it's anyone's race, but it looks like DoorDash has a smart strategy.
And maybe that's because they are being more aggressive or smartly aggressive, whatever you want to say there, in getting that business and getting that market share. Maybe that's what's led them to this point. Maybe they have lower service fees. I think just more testament, bringing it back to you, the driver, is having your options open, downloading as many apps as you can so you can get as many requests and earnings opportunities as possible. We had touched on a point there, talking about the current landscape that we're in, obviously with a lot of marketplaces, in-restaurant dining is closed. Let us know down below in the comments if you're in a marketplace that's affected by in-restaurant dining being closed. but I know that's the case here in Pittsburgh. That was the case back in San Diego. So I would imagine so. But again, let us know. Now, the big rumor, I think really the elephant in the room, a lot of rumblings that I've heard is, hey, when restaurants open up again, whenever this is, sometime in 2021, obviously we're all hoping, is this all going to tank? Are the stocks going to tank from DoorDash? Are these companies just going to go back to the status quo? Because again, I think a lot of us, we're itching to get out. So are we going to see a massive drop in order requests when we're back to full 100%?
Well, I feel like the comments section is going to explode with this
Let
question.
us know.
But in my opinion, and I've driven over 700 food delivery rides. I know Mike is probably in the thousands, but I think people like convenience. I think right when we open up restaurants in 2021, that people are still going to be hesitant. I mean, people are still going to be hesitant to get out in public and dine in groups, to congregate in larger crowds, just to be in public in general. And for those that want to dine in, that'll be available when things open up. But for others who like convenience, maybe they want to stay at home for safety reasons, I do not think that this platform, DoorDash, Uber Eats, I do not think it at all is going to go away. If at anything, I think it's going to expand. I think that these companies are very smart. They know that there's a position for them just in terms of convenience. Country situation aside, I think if things were, quote unquote, back to normal, I think they'd have a very similar strategy. Get as many restaurants on the platform as possible because of convenience. And then the safety and everything like that, if you decide to stay at home, that's a byproduct. But the main purpose, I believe, of these applications are for customer satisfaction through convenience and choices.
Well, they're always hunting for market share. I mean, they're always trying to claw away market share from each other. And that's not going to change, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. I mean, DoorDash is still trying to win business because that is their business model. Now, I mean, you made a point there. I think that, I do see demand falling once we're back to 100%, once we're open again. But I agree, it's not going to tank. And I feel like demand for delivery will be higher than pre-pandemic. Now, I believe it will drop in Q1 and Q2 whenever we're back to 100%, but I think that the median average is still going to be higher for delivery than we had even pre-pandemic, because a lot of the reasons you mentioned, there's customer hesitancy in there. I think that's just what the market, maybe even convenience, people are used to it now, and like you mentioned, people are hesitant just to get out there and dine again. So a big concern when it comes to you and I and you as a driver here are, of course, earnings, the bottom line. And we can talk about whatever we want. It comes down to earnings. And, I hear you and I see your comments on most every video when we talk about earnings. And there's been maybe a wave, a kind of a ripple effect of, what's going on, at least on the DoorDash platform. Now, back in San Diego for the past maybe month or 2 months, I saw a decrease in peak pay, the per delivery bonus. And I saw that echoed from a lot of you in the comments. So turning our attention to Uber Eats, how have bonuses been in maybe that same time in the last month or two? Because again, some of us have seen the lower peak pay on DoorDash. How has it been on Uber Eats? Have you seen a decrease? Is it constant? And maybe roll it into 2021. How do you see the bonuses playing out?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting point. And I think a lot of you might be able to add to this. You mentioned that there's less peak pay on DoorDash, less incentive, less bonuses. Well, I've seen the exact same thing on Uber Eats here in Pittsburgh. So on the contrary to that, I've seen a steady, and I talk about it in other videos that I've done, boost in surge pay. So those rate multipliers and those dollar promotions. However, the bonuses where Uber Eats will give you X amount of dollars for
the Quest bonuses.
Bonuses. Thank you for extra rides.
Right.
So 25 rides, you get $200, let's say. Those are gone. I have not seen those in weeks. What I have seen is $5 for 5 rides. So it's almost non-existent when they're giving you $1 extra per Quest. But all in all, how much can we really complain if there's boost and surge? However, that's in my Pittsburgh market. It might be a little different for you there, but that's what I've seen.
Well, let us know down below in the comments, is your marketplace getting any surge and or boost on the Uber Eats platform? And or if you're driving on DoorDash, let us know. Have you seen lower peak pay? Have you seen any challenges, lower challenges? And I've seen a big complaint is, just lower standard pay on DoorDash. So if you're seeing that as well, let us know down below in the comments. So a whole lot to talk about and focus on as we round the corner into 2021. So honestly, there is no better time if you haven't joined the team already. Join the team of over 20,000 drivers, and I invite you to hit that subscribe button because there is a lot. Honestly, there is a lot to follow into 2021. And we're going to have our ear close to the ground here. We're going to be watching those trends with the surge, with the boost, with the peak pay, the challenges on DoorDash. Let's not forget Postmates, if they add on a miraculous merger with Uber Eats here, and hopefully we'll get activated on Grubhub as well as every other app in this gig economy. So certainly a lot more to come. So if you got value in this video, definitely consider dropping a like. And you can also click or tap the screen here for our most recent video, as well as a video recommended for you. And I'll see you in the next one.